It always comes to this. More nice shit. Hello there guys, here to do a tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I had shown off some more outline on my lower arm, my forearm in particular, and some of my, I think my elbow and my ditch and all kinds of places. We did some more layout this week, and obviously we got the black done over top of the chest piece. It didn't need to be a lot. It did what it needed to. You can see. It did push that out. It kind of cut it out of the background. So now that that's done, there's just a little bit more work to do, but I'll get into that in a minute. Also, the arm is still settling in here. It's a little dry, but looking really good overall. I think that that final session did the trick. Still eager to get back onto this, but giving it more time to heal before we hit it again. I do have another session coming up with Terry this week. I'll get into that in a bit. So, we didn't have a very long session this week. Even for Rick's standards, it was short. But I got the important things done that I wanted done. The arm is fully outlined now, and we got the black behind the brain. And if I could have picked one thing to do on this chest piece right now, that was it. Now, obviously, it's not going to stay as dark as it is, but it'll be something like the black down here when it's settled. So, it'll make a big difference. It's the little things that make a huge difference with this. So, don't underestimate the impact of some good hard black behind something. It can really, really help. So, created the distance that I knew it would. Peeled it off the background, and one step closer to making this whole piece stand out. I still think we have work to do, so next week we're going to do some more on my arm and some more on my chest again. There's some more color to do in here. We didn't do the whole thing in here. We got near to it in one session, and just the skin was getting a little rubbery, and Rick's just not willing to risk doing damage to the skin, scar tissue, so we packed it up that day. I also think that there's a few spots in the lower part here that could be boldened up. The color could be done just a little stronger in there. Rick doesn't want those colors too prominent because it's supposed to be coming out of the darkness, but even then, there's still some stuff in there that I feel like could be helped out. So that was sort of like a mini session on the chest. Obviously, we only did like maybe 10 minutes there, but still technically the 20th time we've worked on, or 21st time we've worked on the chest. I'll get into the arm outline. So you can see now the whole thing is outlined all the way down to the hand. We'll do some more stuff down here when we get there. We've got a lot of work cut out for us now. There's some bigger tentacles here that have been lined out. It's really hard to show this off. Rick didn't even want to bother like filming or taking photos of this time because it's just too hard to really make sense of what's going on until we get some shading in there. And I haven't posted anything about this on my Instagram yet, and by the time this goes up, I probably still won't have. I don't really plan to show off the whole process step by step on my Instagram. I did that on my chest piece, and it just about made me rip my hair out. So I think for my sanity, and for the sake of my my well-being on social media, or my interest in these platforms, I'm going to keep the updates of my sleeve minimal on Instagram. And what I always find funny is, like, people will be annoyed because my feeds are out of sync, or they're out of order, or like you can follow me on TikTok and I'll be farther ahead than I am on Instagram or YouTube. I find that hilarious because it's like, then just follow me on all my platforms then. I'm not saying you need to live in my ass or like you need to worship the ground I'm walking on or anything like that. I don't actually care who's following this or any of that. That's fine. It's you can do whatever you want. But like most of these people that are saying those things have all of the apps, and it's not like if you watched my YouTube and you understood my reasoning for it, then it wouldn't be hard to see like, oh, okay, well that's why Remy did that. Like that's why he didn't post that. Okay, like it's not like I don't explain all of this. So I've been very, very forthcoming, and even in my captions on Instagram, I do my best to write descriptions and like explain the process and step by step with all of this, but nobody reads that. Like for example, I just posted my 19th session on my chess piece this morning on Instagram, even though that was like more than a month ago now. And one of the first comments I get is, I've lost track of how many sessions this has taken, but it's really coming together. It's like, that's okay, asshole. I said 19 right up front. First line of the caption, session 19. People can't even read that much. So we slag TikTok a lot for people being low attention span, but I actually think Instagram is even worse than TikTok. I don't know how that's happened, but at one point I didn't think that way, and now I do. So it's been interesting for me to observe how people use different platforms. I understand that Instagram is a picture sharing platform, but I make a habit that if I'm going to comment or like something, I make sure that I read what's in there, because you don't know what someone's saying. I don't want to be liking anything that's racist or homophobic or hateful in any way, you know what I mean? So just because you see a pretty picture you like doesn't mean you should be committing to liking or commenting on it and praising it. Who knows what the subtext is? That's why we have eyes. That's why we have the ability to comprehend information. Let's just put it to some use sometimes is all I'm saying, because holy crap are people short attention span. Anyway, I could go on for days about that. Some funny anecdotes about this, or a little story about this session was Rick drew on these lines back here, the big ones, and he drew so hard on me with the pencil, or not pencil, the Sharpies, that he actually welted up my arm. Now, I've said before, I think I did a video called My Tattoo Artist Rick. I explained kind of how Rick is as a person. Rick doesn't hurt so much to be tattooed by. He's not like super heavy-handed. You know, there's like people who are lighter or heavier-handed. Rick isn't super, super heavy-handed. What Rick is, though, is as a person, he's heavy-handed. So his mannerisms around tattooing are pretty vicious. For example, he was doing a session on my neck one time, and I had a pain in my neck for weeks afterwards. Not from the tattoo, but from him stretching my head. It was like just pushing my head down, like he was trying to separate my head from my shoulder. It was pretty wild. But his actual tattooing isn't that painful, and because he's so efficient with he'll saturate an area, he knows it's saturated, and if it's not, he'll get it next time with a touch-up. Rick doesn't do a lot of damage. He's been tattooing for 25 years, and when he puts it in, he trusts that it's in. So he doesn't do a lot of fucking around. He's in and he's out. So you don't actually get much damage from being tattooed by Rick, and that's how I can continue and do layer after layer after layer, because there is never really all that much damage done to the skin. For example, there are parts of this arm that are still dry from when Terry tattooed me. I think this is now nearly 2 weeks ago. I don't have any dryness anywhere after Rick's tattooed me as early as 4 to 5 days. So I heal real quick with Rick, and that's not a slag at Terry. That's just a reality. Rick is incredibly proficient. He's just a really rough human being to deal with. You know, everything around working with Rick is rough, but the actual tattoo is quite pleasant. Interestingly enough, we did the lines on my arm first. All these big, bold tentacles. Like, these are the right size. I'm really happy with how big we did the tentacles. We'll be able to get some cool details, but they'll also be of a size that we don't get bogged down for too long like we did in these ones. Obviously, with these ones, we were working around things, and it's not as big an area as a full sleeve, but these will be the right size. Yeah, we did the arm first, and then we did this part on my chest, or right near my neck here, and for whatever reason, I'm finding that I'm not liking the sessions on this arm a lot more than the chest. So like, I've had a good time sitting for the chest. It's been really pleasant. I could do another one today. Like I kind of like it. It's a good feeling. But the lining on my arm has been quite vicious. It's been he lines really quick, and Rick's lines are really sharp feeling. So it's been interesting. You'd never think that your chest would be an easier day than your arm, but I'm finding it. So I know a lot of guys in particular, don't seem to like getting their chest tattooed. We have a guy at the shop here. He's been in 6 or 7 times since he had his chest outlined, and he still hasn't come to finish his chest. So I was like, dude, just use numbing cream. No one's gonna call you a bitch. No one's gonna be rude to you. It's fine. If you need it, use it. Just get the piece done, because you don't want to be walking around with an unfinished chest tattoo forever. Anyway, hopefully he'll do that. I'll get into a little bit about what we're doing next week. So again, I said we were going to be doing the color, some more color in the face here. And then Rick wants to bolden the outline. So I don't know how many weeks of that there'll be. To me, it's like, I love Rick, but it's like, why didn't we just line them bold the first time? I understand why we didn't. He wanted to go fast and get the whole thing outlined. It doesn't really concern me, though. I like getting tattooed, so as long as he shows up and as long as we're making progress, it's a good day. And I'm not really in a hurry to do my sleeve anyway. I'd rather take the rest of the year on it, realistically. I don't really even give a fuck. If we get it done by the end of 2023, that would be great. And if we're still working on it in 2024, that's fine too. If you haven't noticed, I like getting tattooed. So while I think that we could have started with the bolder outline and the places he wants to bolden up, it's also kind of silly that we're doing that, in my opinion. But since I'm a make work project anyway, and I've been making all kinds of progress this year already, I'm not really that concerned about it. As I said, I have another tattoo coming up with Terry this week here. We're finally going to be going and getting these high points that we did in the roses on my hand and my arms. We're finally going to be going and doing those in my neck, I believe. I'm not promising that session will happen, but I'm pretty certain that's what we're doing next. And then I want to take another couple hours and redo the red here, not because it's faded, but because I think we can get it more concentrated like we have on my sleeve. So it stayed really, really well. Like, that's great. In fact, it seems to be aging better than I would have even thought. It seems to be getting redder over time, not less red. But I think it can be more concentrated. And I also want to bring it down right into around the frame of that black, so there's no more dynamic black in there. We'll bring it in and we'll frame all of this off. It will separate the chest piece completely from the background. There will be no more dynamic black background, just like I promised. And it will even frame in these, or at least the bottom of this rosebud better. So those are a few things I've got coming up with Terry. I've also got, I want to do some more on my head. And then when we get that all sorted out, we'll finally hit the back. Anyway, I've been hammering for a while, so I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.